Hey, this is Tom with Daily Qigong here with Justin Phillips at Stonegate Wellness. What do you got for us?
Alright guys, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're working on our 3 regulations. So we talked about regulating the body. That was probably the longest one we're going to go through. So tonight, we're going to go through both the regulating the breath and regulating the mind. Now these are going to be a little bit easier, but at the same time can be kind of the hardest aspects, especially when we get to the mind, but we'll talk about that. So when we talk about regulating the breath, there's kind of 2 facets that we want to deal with. The first is I want to change where I breathe. So we often talk about breath, and people without thinking about it, they tend to breathe in their chest. And this is okay because we're breathing a little bit, but really there's 2 mechanisms that control breath. The first is going to be the diaphragm. The diaphragm is going to draw downward in order to create negative space in the chest cavity to expand the lungs. The second one is going to be the intercostal muscles are going to flare the rib cage to create even more negative space and allow us to draw air into the lungs. There's a third mechanism that's not used as much, but as the shoulders rise a little bit, we can create even a little bit of negative space up here at the top. Now, what happens is if I breathe mostly with my chest, you can see as that chest rises up, it's actually going to compress that diaphragm a little bit. And what happens is I get air into the top part of my lungs, but that diaphragm is restricting the bottom part of my lungs, and I'm not taking as full a breath as I could. And the way I'm going to fix that is I'm going to start my breath with my abdomen. Now, I'm not taking the chest out of it, but it's all about where you start. What I'm going to do is I want to create almost a wave motion. So I'm going to breathe first into my abdomen, then into my chest. Then I'm going to exhale, again, starting with the abdomen, then exhaling with the chest. What that does is when I expand the abdomen, the negative pressure in the abdomen is going to draw the diaphragm down and anchor that diaphragm, so that then when I expand the chest, I'm creating a much broader space and I can draw in much more air. Studies have shown up to 2 liters more air by breathing abdominally than just thoracically. So that's a pretty big amount of air. So I'm going to start breath. Now, I'm going to really emphasize both the speed and the degree. You don't have to do it this much. It should always, just like any other Qigong, feel calm, easy, and relaxed. But I'm going to emphasize it so you can see it. So we're going to abdomen, chest, abdomen, chest. So I'm going to get this nice kind of wave motion breath. So that's the first part. Now, the second part, we're going to move away from that overemphasized breath, okay? Because what I want my breath to be is I want it to take on a number of qualities. I want it to be long, even, smooth, soft, deep, and quiet. I don't want to be able to hear my breath. I don't want to really be able to see my breath. What I want is I can imagine my breath as like a thin silk string that runs from my nose or my mouth, because different exercises will breathe through different orifices, but I want to imagine a long thin thread reaching out, and I'm just very slowly pulling that in down into my lungs. This very slow, even, thin, and I'm pulling it way deep as I expand the abdomen. I'm pulling that almost down past lungs in the abdomen, just this very slow, soft, even, easy breath, okay? Now, I can't really illustrate that for you, because if I do it, you're not going to be able to tell I'm doing it, because it's slow and even and soft. But you got the idea. So those are the things you want to focus on with the breath. Now, we don't have a lot of time left, but I'm going to real quick touch on regulating the mind, because that's actually both a complicated and easy process. With regulating the mind, it's all about focus. Now, some meditative practices, they're going to focus mostly on trying to clear the mind. They talk about just don't think about anything, empty the mind. Most of the practices we're going to teach here on Daily Qigong are going to be much more active practices. We're going to give you things to do in visualizations while you do the exercise. And so what regulate the mind means is you want to stay actively engaged in the process of the meditation. You don't want to let your mind go off to grocery lists and car deals and music videos and whatever. You want to be right there with the practice. And if you feel like you can't do that at any given time, stop. Go take care of whatever it is that's troubling you, and when you're ready, come back and re-engage in your meditative practice with that calm, clear, focused mind. Because without that mind engaging, you're really getting just a very, 40% of the benefit of the Qigong. So make sure that you're very mentally present. There's a concept that I'll touch on real briefly and then we'll be done called cloud through the clear blue sky. So I want my mind to be open and focused like a clear blue sky. But every now and then these other stray thoughts will drift in just like a cloud. Now, if I focus on the cloud, all I'm going to see is the cloud. It's like, wow, it's a really cloudy day. But if I continue to focus on the sky, that cloud will pass through and just continue on, and I can continue with my exercise. And that's what you want, cloud in the clear blue sky. So those are the other 2 of the 3 regulations. So take those into your practice. You can bring those into the other videos we've done, the 8 brocades, the 9 threading breaths. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our page, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks.